This is Train Your Body with Melanie Cole and expert guests from the American College of Sports Medicine on Radio MD.
Healthy development is crucial for your children, and you know I always talk about schools cutting recess and gym in favor of academics, which we do need, but kids need to get their beans out. And how can they sit in school all day and think clearly if they're not able to run around and get some blood flow to their brain? My guest, of course, fan favorite, Dr. John Higgins, sports cardiologist for the University of Texas Health Science Center in Houston. So, Dr. Higgins, what is the sort of connection between cognitive development for children and weight, obesity, and exercise?
That's an excellent question, Melanie, the million-dollar question. We're not exactly sure about how it, what the exact mechanisms are, but the studies have been replicated now, Melanie, and it's all singing the same song, and that is that kids that are not overweight and that are eating healthy and exercising regularly, they are the smartest kids. They do better on tests of cognition, everything from math, English, memory, art, through to as well, of course, as the physical tests of physical activity. So there is definitely something that is going on in terms of kids that are eating unhealthy, that are not exercising, and that are overweight. That is definitely interfering with their ability to function.
I feel like I could do this study by myself, Dr. Higgins, because really, as I see, and even with my own kids, and when I feed them very, very healthy, they don't tend to want desserts and junk food. They think very clearly. They do so well, and my son got into gymnastics and his grades went up. I thought the time factor would be a thing, and that his grades would go down because he didn't have as much time to study, but his grades in fact went up when he was exercising more, weightlifting more, doing cardio, and involving himself in a sport. So it's pretty obvious to me.
Yeah, look, Melanie, all of the schools that have either increased their lunch period, so that the kids and provided more activity-based equipment outside for kids, as well as those that have instituted physical education, on a mandatory basis. They have all shown that even though the kids are actually spending less time in the classroom, in front of the teacher, they're actually doing better. So this is really, really critical, Melanie, I think, for us, and especially with our nation being the way it is right now with the rates of obesity, particularly in the young children. We are setting them up to not do as well as some of those kids from healthier backgrounds and that are healthier. And we really need to, I think we need to make this a priority, not only for the kids, but also, Melanie, in some cases it might be too late for the parents, but it's not too late for the parents to change their habits, cooking more healthier, encouraging exercise, going for family walks or doing family activities, so at least their kids can break the cycle for their kids.
Dr. Higgins, what do you say when people say, well, we have to catch up to China and to Japan in our technology studies, our mathematics, our computer skills, all of these things, and the kids don't have time to go outside and have gym anymore, and PE is outdated because now we've got to get these kids in the classroom because they have got to become more literate than they are as a country. And what do you say? Because it infuriates me when I hear people say this.
Oh, absolutely, Melanie. Well, what I say to them is, like many other things in life, it is about the quality time, not the quantity of time. I mean, we all know you can sit down to study for 4 hours and read a chapter of a book. And, at the end of that, if you haven't had a break, and you've just been cramming, you may sort of just say, what did I just read? So we know that it's really, really important to make sure that we give kids adequate time for breaks, and that these kids are getting the exercise they need, because during that bout of exercise, Melanie, not only are they improving their blood flow to critical brain organs, which are going to be those exact parts that are going to be processing what they've learned earlier in the day and also remembering it, and helping them sleep better at night, but also, they're going to be having healthier cardiovascular systems. they're going to reduce the thickening and hardening of their blood vessels down the line, and they're going to decrease the amount of total fat that they have stored in their body. And there is some evidence, Melanie, that the actual amount of fat that you have, there are hormones that are released in the body, and that can damage cerebral cells, as well as the fact that we know that eating unhealthy definitely can impair blood flow to the brain as well as other parts of the body, which, then can result in a reduction in cognitive ability. So these are really, really important things, Melanie.
Well, I think we're learning more and more, Dr. Higgins, about the role of healthy foods and antioxidants and all of these micronutrients that have been devoid of our food because of what we've done to the soil, and that our kids are not necessarily getting all of these. And even if we're trying to feed them healthy, what do you think about giving kids a multivitamin every day, giving kids a probiotic to help their immune system so they can think more clearly? What do you think about that?
I think if the child is not getting an optimal balanced diet, and particularly in the case where, maybe the parents are so busy that they can't prepare the meals for the children during the day, and they're so many times, they're left to kind of get meals at schools, which oftentimes, are not prepared in the most healthiest manner, Melanie. I think that it's perfectly reasonable, and they do have specific multivitamins and the other probiotics and things for, children of different ages. However, if, ultimately what our goal would be is to make sure the kids are getting healthy nutrition not only at home but also throughout the day at school. And I think there is a nationwide movement to try to get more healthy meals in school, as well as you mentioned, Melanie, to get back to basics even with physical education. I mean, I'm shocked to think that there are schools out there now, in 2016, that they are not doing regular physical education. I mean, look, let's face it. Without that, you can't you can't sort of do much against kids getting on weight, and also you're not going to be getting them into a regular habit for the rest of their lives. If they're not doing it, at school during the day, they're not going to be doing it. Many of them are not going to be doing it by themselves at home. But if you show by example, and it becomes a peer group thing, where it's kind of cool to exercise and everyone else is doing it, then I think that is where you really can hook the kids.
I think so, too, and I also think that we have to, as parents, be involved with the schools. Dr. Higgins, I know you have just a little baby, so you'll see when she gets a little bit older that, what involvement you decide to do with the schools to getting them, because I went to our schools when they had to cut gym to like twice a week. I'm like, seriously? Twice a week? Now my youngest child is in middle school and they have gym every single day. But when she was in elementary school, they cut it down to twice a week. And I was like, really? So the other 3 days of the week? So in the last minute here, give parents your very best advice on getting involved, getting their children active to help that cognitive development.
Yeah, well, Melanie, I think it's clear the evidence is in that exercise is so important, and for children that means daily exercise, and we're talking 30 to 60 minutes of activity every day. If your kids are not getting that at school, I think you need to, as parents, step it up and tell the school, look, this is so important to our kids, not only now, but for later in life, as well as make sure the schools are getting healthy diet alternatives, and make sure they have a healthy menu, and tell them that it's really important not only for the kids to be healthy and have a good diet, but also to be of optimal weight. And finally, Melanie, I'll just mention this, that Ken Cooper, who was the author of that famous book Aerobics, which started the whole movement, he did a large study in Texas published a couple of years ago, where he went into schools and randomly in one school he had the kids exercising half an hour to an hour every day, and in the match schools, no exercise, just telling them about the benefits. Those kids in the schools that he was in scored higher on all cognitive tests, as well as they were physically active, and they were less likely to be away from school. And
Thanks so much, Dr. Higgins. Stay well.